If you've ever walked a job site and looked up at a mess of ductwork and thought, I hope this is right, you're not alone. HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, is one of those systems that works best when nobody notices it. And it fails very loudly when something goes wrong. So today, I want to walk you through what architects should be paying attention to when you're on the site during the HVAC phase. Not how to size a unit or how to design the ductwork, but just what to look for, what to question, what to file away for your next design. So this is another entry in my field notes series, short videos where I take you out on a job site and kind of focus on one specific system at a time. And remember, in a previous video, I talked about how to visit a job site, check in with a superintendent, bring your tape measure, take pictures. If you want, watch that video first. But today, we're going to just talk about the HVAC, which is one of the most coordination-heavy systems inside the building. So first, let's just start with the big picture. So what system is the building actually using? So you want to zoom out mentally. And you want to ask yourself, is this a rooftop unit? Is this going to be a split system, VRF? If you don't know what those mean, that's fine. Ask your supervisor, look it up, look at the mechanical drawings, because that kind of type of system, they're all different. They all have different uses, pluses and minuses. But that's really important to understand sort of before you get to the job site to know what to look for. You want to think about, how is the air going to be delivered? Is it overhead? Is it going to be underfloor? Is it through shafts? And then where are the mechanical rooms and platforms, any of those areas? Where are they in the building? So when you get there, you sort of know what to look for. So you're not like checking for calculations. You're just sort of building a mental map of where everything is. Because once you understand where the air is coming from and where it's going, the rest of the site just kind of starts to make sense. So one reality check here is when you get there is it usually never looks like the drawings. One of the biggest lessons that looking at the HVAC system teaches architects is sort of humility, is that ductwork almost never looks as clean as it does on the drawings. So you'll see on site how often the ducts have to shift to avoid maybe a structure, or where the duct sizes suddenly grow or shrink depending on the clearances that they have. How many offsets are added just to make things fit. This is when you start to realize like, oh, I didn't leave enough room here. You can always add, you can always benefit from having more room for HVAC. But that's not a failure if you didn't have enough room. It's just education. File it away so that next time when you're putting together the ceiling heights or the soffits or structural base spacing, you're considering these things that might happen in the field. Because in reality, HVAC doesn't exist in isolation. You'll notice where like a ductwork suddenly hits a beam, or how it stacks with sprinkler mains, or whether lighting is being pushed out of ideal locations because the duct is in the way. So this is where architecture, structure, and MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, they all kind of collide. And this is the point when you start to see it. And remember, your role isn't necessarily to direct the contractor to, redesign the system in the field. Just if something feels off, make a note, ask a question, and flag it through the proper channels. Talk to your supervisor, talk to the mechanical engineer, just see how things are working out, because that's what observation reports are for. They exist for a reason. The next thing that really is going to impact you the most from the architectural standpoint, because this is the first thing that people will see and experience, is the diffusers and the grills, things that actually come in contact and are visible. So it's also one that sometimes architects overlook. But look at where the diffusers land relative to doors and desks and seating, whether the returns are sort of hidden or are they visually dominant in the room, how supply air interacts with the glazing or the exterior walls. These are all like small details, but they're what the people actually feel. They'll feel a draft. They'll hear a noise or a hum. They might feel uneven temperatures. This is where HVAC quietly affects the architecture more than any other system. And the engineers, they try to do a good job, and hopefully you have a good relationship with your engineer. But a lot of times they're working with calculations to size things, and they're not necessarily looking at the impact that it has on the end user. And that's where you as the architect need to step in and discuss this with them to make sure that the end user is experiencing something beneficial. Another important thing to look for is, I always ask myself when I'm on the site, is how does this get serviced? Where are the access panels? What's the clearances around the units? More importantly, where are the filter locations? And how easy or how hard is it to maintain it? Because if it looks hard to maintain it now, it'll never be changed. It'll never be serviced. And it'll be ignored later. And those ignored systems, those will be the ones that fail early and will hurt the life of the building. And I've said this before, but it applies perfectly here. When you design, you're doing it in your head or in a 3D model, and the job site is the first time you see sort of how flexible these systems are, like they will move around, but where your assumptions on sizes and spaces and locations of things, they start breaking down, and you start to realize which details you never actually thought through. So HVAC is one of the best teachers for your future designs if you're paying attention. So remember, you don't need to be a mechanical engineer or an HVAC expert to be a good architect, but you do need to be curious and observant and willing to learn from what's actually built on the site. And in the next field notes, we'll take a look at another system that's important, one layer at a time. But that's it for HVAC today. Thanks for coming along. That's it. Let's get back to work.